Alright, hello everyone. What's going on? Am I muted? Oh no, the music's just not playing. There we go, okay. I thought the music wasn't coming in. On one? What do you mean, Eddie? No one? What do you mean? Anyway, what's going on, guys? Picking up some more Fairy Tail. Obviously, I've been reading since the last stream. So, before we only made it to like chapter 5, today we're gonna be reading from chapter 301. Well, the stream just started, so we're gonna give everyone a few minutes before we get this going. But in the meantime, how's everybody doing? What's going on? What are we playing for video games? What are we reading for manga? Watching for anime? Pretty tired? Yeah, me too. I had to work today. Got home a few hours ago, had dinner, relaxed outside for a bit, and decided I'd end the night with a nice chill stream. Trying to really stick to weekly streams this month before we get into the real nice streams. I ordered everything. I ordered a new mic, a camera, all that good stuff. So streams are gonna reach a new level in the next month or so. I just finished reading the last chapter of Breakblade. I'm assuming that's a manga and not like a manhwa or something. Never heard of Breakblade. Is that a Jump series? What is that? If I wasn't reading Fairy Tail right now, I would be catching up to everything in Jump. Because Jump honestly seems like it's in a really good spot right now. It's got some nice comedy manga. JJK is in a good spot. One Piece is in a good spot. I need to catch back up to One Piece. I'm like 10-ish chapters behind. I did not read the last chapter or so of My Hero. I hear the last couple of chapters have been pretty divisive. It's a manga, but it's not in Shonen Jump. Alright, I'll have to look into it. I haven't really seen anyone talk about it. So I'm assuming it's either an older series or it's like brand new. What else are people reading? Eddie, I'm not really sure what you're saying there. And there's a lot of games I want to play right now. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get Fairy Tail done so I can get going on getting all the July videos done. Once I get those done, I want to play Street Fighter 6. Well, I want to play some Guilty Gear. I want to play Guilty Gear, Street Fighter 6. I want to try, I believe it's called Wayfinders, the game by Joe Madeira. It just got a big new update or something like that. That looks pretty fun. And of course, I want to play the latest expansion of Destiny 2. I've not played Destiny 2 since the last expansion, Lightfall, because I thought the campaign for the actual expansion was okay, but the seasonal story, it was kind of hit or miss with the weekly missions. My favorite fairy tale YouTuber. Mikey, how you doing? So happy to see you. And honestly, I'm sure you're joking, but I also feel like that's a fact. I mean, is there a fairy tale YouTuber that you would watch over me? I feel like that's equally as serious as it is supposed to be funny. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock, so we'll get started. So for anyone who would like to follow along, you are... Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm everyone's favorite Dr. Stone YouTuber. I'm everyone's favorite fairy tale YouTuber. I'm definitely not everyone's favorite Gachi Akuta YouTuber. I can tell you that much. The amount of salt I've gotten for my video on Gachi Akuta, which, by the way, followed up by like 1 or 2 other videos about how much I liked the series, and you know, nobody's posting that on Reddit like, oh, this didn't age well. I'm almost certain I'm going to do a follow-up video to that original video, because I do like Gachi. That's another manga I hit a big phase, if you don't follow me, where I kind of stopped reading manga for a bit. So I need to catch back up on Gachi Akuta, but I'm genuinely excited that it got an anime. I think, especially now that I've read Soul Eater and Fire Force, now that I look back on it, and especially the art style, it does really feel like the spiritual successor of, I'll just say, Okubo in a lot of ways. So I'm excited for that. Definitely favorite Fire Force. Aw, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think... So you have to... When we think about Hiro Mashima's future as a creator, you have to think about what age he's at in relation to, like, what age... Burnout, yeah, true. You have to think about what age he's at right now. So when he did Rave, that was basically like that was like 2 years after he got out of high school, more or less. So he was probably like 19 years old ish. So then he did Rave for like 5 or 6 years. So that puts him at like, we'll say 25. So then he did Fairy Tail till... When did Fairy Tail end? Let's just look up Hiro Mashima age. So Hiro Mashima is 47 years old, right? So let's take a look. Ichiro Oda, 49. Looks... What about... Let's see. So Okubo, oddly enough, is 44 years old. So I mean, you get into that, once you hit your 40s, it's kind of like football in a way. Once you hit your 40s or your late 40s, you're getting to the age where it's like a lot of people start to wrap this up. So I don't think Mashima is gonna retire soon, but I do think we need to start considering that. I don't think it's something that people can kind of just brush off anymore. Ground version has started at first journey. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Mashima does when Eden Zero ends. I'm sure he's going to start another big serialization. I don't know what it'll be like. I'm sure it'll be another fantasy of some sort. But in the meantime, I'm excited. On that note, what do I think of Gachi Akuta? I love it. Obviously, I have a video talking about some of its flaws, so I don't think it's perfect. But, you know, I really like it. It's kind of a slow burn for the first 20 chapters or so. In the chapters I read, so like the first 30 or 40 chapters, really the only big issue I had, off the top of my mind anyway, is they need to flesh out the side characters. So I'm assuming that was taken care of in the meantime, since I stopped reading it. Love the art style. It's reminiscent of Okubo's art style, but it's so clearly its own thing, and it stands out from like everything that's out right now. Biggest Mikey, you can't be doing that. Alright, but anyway, let's go ahead and get started with Fairy Tail. So let's see here. I'm on chapter 301, The Dragon King. So as always, I'm not going to be reading every single panel. I'm just going to kind of read at my own pace. If you'd like to read along, I'll share which chapter I'm on. But let's get started. Alright, so they're in the dragon graveyard or dragon cave. Okay, so Wendy does a spell, but can we talk about, like, how did she know how to do that? Like, how many wizards are out here just like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk to dragons now. Excuse me, not only are we gonna talk to dragons, we're gonna talk to dead dragons. Like, how did she... It seems like she instinctively knew how to do that. Like, what? So it's revealed that Dragon Slayer magic was created in order to help humans aid in the war against dragons. Which, now that I think about it, is very reminiscent of the story from Skyrim. Alright, so now we're on chapter 302. Eclipse Plan. Wasn't Hero author over works like other projects like 3 manga and games? At one point he was doing 3 manga and a game. He was doing the storyboards for 100 Years Quest. He was doing Eden Zero. He was doing, I believe it was a...
Happy Thursday, Spiked Refreshers.
Oh, there was a mobile game. I forget what the hell it's called. But he was doing a manga adaptation. It was only like 15 chapters, 20 chapters. But he was doing a manga adaptation for a mobile game. So he was doing that, Eden Zero, the storyboard for 100 Years Quest, and he was developing his own mobile game. Or game. I can't remember if it was... No, it was not strictly mobile. It was like on Steam or something. So, I mean, the man is a god when it comes to work balance. Now, what kind of sleep schedule he has is to be determined. I'm sure it's not much, but as far as work-life balance, I mean, he says he plays a ton of video games and, you know, he listens to music and all that good stuff, so I tend to think his work-life balance is pretty good, sleep not considering. Anyway, we are on chapter 302. Alright, so they're trying to open a gate. They need the celestial mages to do it. When the gate opens, we'll travel 400 years in time. We'll eliminate Seraph before he can become immortal. That is the Eclipse Plan. Obviously, nothing could possibly go wrong. Justin, what's going on? Pleasure to have you. Yes, everyone say hi to Justin. He's a regular in the streams and on the channel. Also, while I'm talking, everyone make sure to like the stream. It is the easiest way to help spread the stream to everyone else, new viewers, regular viewers, and it lets me know that you're enjoying the stream. Alright, so now we're on chapter 303. So we learned about the Eclipse plan, and we also learned the king has a liking to Fairy Tail. And if they win the tournament, they could meet the king. Interesting. Yeah, I had planned this. I didn't want to announce it in case something came up. But I'm trying to really stick to one stream a week, and this time with my work schedule it just worked the best. So, and also I don't really stream at night so much, so it's kind of an experiment, but we're getting a good turnout. Obviously not a huge wave of people, but we got a nice little crowd here. Can't complain, having a good time. Glad to see everyone's enjoying the stream. Anyway, now we are on chapter 303. Alright, so we're in chapter 304. In the last chapter, 303, it was revealed that they have the two teams. One team is in the tournament. The other team is working to rescue Lucy behind the scenes. Now this brings up a good point. Why is Fairy Tail the only team that gets a second team? Now hear me out, right? Fairy Tail is not the biggest guild, I don't think. Especially at this point in the story, right? I mean, I would imagine Sabretooth is bigger than Fairy Tail at this point. So like, why don't any of the other guilds do, you know, one team or two team? It just, I never really thought about it until now, and now I'm like, it's kind of weird that they're the only guild doing it. I guess it's convenience sake. One, because like, you know, it lets more characters play a role. I wouldn't call it cheating. If anything, I would just say it seems stupid by the other guilds. You know what I mean? It's like when you're playing a game and you're, you know, using a move or a technique, and someone's like, oh, you're cheating. It's like, no, I'm just doing the thing that you should be doing, and you're not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It just feels weird. I don't think it's bad. But it just... lazy comes to mind. I don't think it's necessarily lazy writing, but something feels off about it now that I revisit it. So that's the thing, right? Each guild should have one team, and yet Fairy Tail is allowed to have two. So if Fairy Tail can have two, then why doesn't everyone else have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? You know what I mean? Especially when they probably have more members. Dual Masters, how you doing? Pleasure to have you in the stream. Special privilege, yeah. It's plot privilege. Why not Twitch? Is it too much to handle? No. It's just YouTube is my main audience. I used to do Twitch back in the... So what I used to do was YouTube was strictly for videos and Twitch was strictly for streaming. But for a bunch of reasons, I'm just streaming on YouTube. Down the line, I might do multi-streaming and stream on YouTube and Twitch. But I'm in the unique position of building my audience on YouTube. So it doesn't make sense for me to exclusively stream on Twitch. At least not right now. It's funny that you bring up Godslayers, because I was thinking about this today. Godslayers do not make sense. So the one from Grimoire Heart, that totally makes sense. And now that we're bringing this up, I'm going to kind of do a mental exercise as I talk this out. So you have, I can't remember his name, but you have the Fire God Slayer. He got his magic from Hades, and Hades knows a bunch of magics. That I'm totally on board with, makes total sense. Where did Sherry and Orga get their magics? The fire god dude, yeah, from Grimoire Heart. Whatever, the guy with the long blonde hair. I can't remember his name. But where did Orga, the lightning god slayer, and where did Sherry, the wind god slayer, where did they get their powers? It seems kind of random to me, now that I'm reading this. I mean, it's cool, and it honestly makes sense in that regard that, okay, we have one god slayer, so, like, why don't we have more? So then we get more, it's like, okay, cool. Excuse me. But when I think about it, I'm just like, where did they learn that magic? So we know what dragon slayers, either you learned it from a dragon, you used lacrimas, or you did some combination of the two. That totally makes sense. How do you become a god slayer if like you don't have someone who knows it. So the only logical conclusion, well, there's two conclusions. One is it's like Dragon Slayers, you can have like Lacrimas, but I don't believe that's ever explicitly stated, so that would just be a theory. And the other one is, well, you learned it from somebody. I just think learned it from a god. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like Sherry's like 12. Like where the hell did she learn it? And where did Org I don't know. I don't really think there's an answer. Again, I don't necessarily think it's bad writing. It just questions in my head. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to continue my read. But I'm loving this conversation. I think what we might do later this month is kind of do like a fairy tale Q&A. Because in the second and third weeks of the month, I will most definitely be done reading fairy tale. So I think at least one of those streams we'll do like a Q&A. Because I have a lot of questions. Seems like you guys have a lot of questions. So I think it'd be fun to kind of just, workshop it. A random god was like, hey, I want to make this kid OP. Honestly, yeah, I mean, it's what the dragons did. Alright, so we are on chapter 304, The Great Magical War Game. Excuse me 1 second, everyone. I just got a text from a friend. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. I am not going to trash on Fairy Tail, but it could have been better written. I definitely agree. One thing I will say, as I'm rereading the story, is I think the early stuff is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think once you kind of reach the halfway point is where the writing issues and inconsistencies start to pop up, and you know, that's like half the manga. So people take that and they go, oh, it's a problem with the whole manga. But honestly, when you look at like the first 25, 30 volumes, I mean, it's pretty solid considering Mashima really only planned out, I think, like the first year or two of this manga. So, are there issues with it? Yes. But is it generally underrated? I would say yes. And I say generally because while the Fairy Tail fandom obviously is going to hype it up, that's the Fairy Tail fandom. That's the Mashima fandom. The anime fandom at large, I think, neglects a lot of the positives of this series. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting chapter. So the two big takeaways: Mavis has a pretty interesting plan for the Magic games, where they kind of waited for everyone to start the Battle Royale, and now they're going to get going. And then on the other end, they snuck into the castle, and then we also have the princess, who seemingly has her own eclipse plan. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. On that note, we'll move on to Chapter 5. Or, excuse me, Chapter 305, The Fairy Strategist. Excuse me. Alright, so it seems like we're gonna get a fight between Gray and Rufus from Sabretooth. I do vaguely remember this fight, but I mostly forget how it goes. Alright, honest question for everyone in chat. How do we feel about Gray? And that's for everyone, whether you're caught up to 100 Years Quest, whether you're casual, whether you're just a, you know, fairy tale fan at whatever point. How do you feel about Gray? Because I'm gonna be honest, now that I'm rereading, I feel like he's kind of overrated. Gray and his ice magic sucks. I don't think his magic sucks, but I feel like he gets like the mid tier fights. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of characterization in between, you know, all the stuff with uh, Leon and then all the way until Silver. Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't really get a ton of character arcs. Like, he doesn't get nearly as much growth as the other characters. I feel like he's kind of just, like, he's just there. But he's, like, the cool character. Gray is just the shirtless character? Yeah, I won't argue with that. What did Nux? What did Nux say? Fairy tale what? I don't know if Gray should have died. Alright, so we are on chapter 307, the Garo Knights. Still waiting for Juvia to notice? Yeah, I don't know about that one. Honestly, sometimes I kind of like Juvia more than Gray. Wow, I had forgotten about that. Okay, so, and this is, should be obvious by now. There's spoilers in this stream, but it was revealed that Lecter did not die before the master of Sabretooth killed him. She put him in a special space, another dimension. But now she's taking him hostage until Sabretooth wins the Magic Games. So that's a pretty cool twist. I'm still waiting for Juvia to notice me. Sorry, I read that wrong, Justin. Yeah, Juvia's pretty cool, man. Guilds get more screen time over main casts. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I think I haven't seen that video or that take, but I think that's half joking if he said something like that. Although, it wouldn't be a crazy take to say that Fairy Tail the Guild is kind of the main character, more so than Natsu or Lucy. Alright, so we're back to Natsu's crew, and they have to fight off against the Garo Knights, who seem to be a squad of executioners. So now we're on chapter 308, by the way. So it seems like the Princess of Fiore is trying to save the head knight that was captured, Arcadius. Alright, now we're on chapter 309. The Burning Earth. Bro, Horologium is probably the biggest plot device in the entire series. Like, I feel like every time somebody is about to die in this series, Horologium, so for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's Lucy's celestial spirit that is like the I forget what you call it, but the old style clock. I feel like he pops up every time it seems like a character is gonna die. Alright, so now we're on chapter 310, This Country of Ours. Alright, so they all beat the executioners. You know, decent fights, nothing crazy. So he's a Waldzo and brings them back? Yeah, kinda. He doesn't necessarily... Although, ironically enough, he is a clock, but he doesn't stop time. He kind of just has a tendency to pop out of nowhere and save people. So we are on chapter 311, The Country Until Tomorrow. So we have a fight between Shelia and Juvia. Not the fight I thought I needed. Am I not in 100 Years Quest? I have read 100 Years Quest. I'm not completely caught up. I think I'm like a few volumes behind, but I have read 100 Years Quest, and in a lot of ways I like it better, and there's also some things I don't like as much in 100 Years Quest. So it's Erza versus Kagura versus Minerva. Now that is a cool fight. And with that, we move on to the next chapter, chapter 312. Excuse me. Okay, so big reveal. We're back to Natsu's group. The princess said that they met someone who can see into the future. And the big reveal is we have a future Lucy who has traveled back in time from the future. Obviously, a huge plot twist. Here we go. So one of my more anticipated fights, Gajiel versus Rogue. Oh, and then we got another big matchup between Laxus, Orga, and of course Jura. Alright, so that brings us to chapter 314, but at this point I think we reached a pretty good point to wrap things up. Time shenanigans are always confusing. Yeah, I mean, it's rarely the case where a writer can cleanly write a story with time travel where it's an integral part of the story. Excuse me. But on that note, we're going to wrap things up. First, of course, I want to say, as always, thank you to everyone who jumped in the stream, even if you're not here. Thank you for just coming in to say hi, and for everyone that is still here. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. I had a great conversation with everybody. It was a good time, chill time. Hope you enjoyed following me as I read some more chapters of Fairy Tail. I don't know when the next stream will be, so just keep a lookout. Again, as I've said before, I'm not really at a point right now where I can schedule regular streams. They're more or less just whenever I have the time. Although I'm going to continue to try and plan them ahead of time so that I can stick to a consistent weekly schedule. But I don't know what the next stream will be. I think maybe what we'll do is we'll do that Fairy Tail Q&A stream that I talked about. And then the one after that will be kind of a break. And then we'll probably try and do another one prior to 100 Years Quest. Because the anime is coming up in July, early July. I believe it's July 7th. But on that note, thank you again, everyone. I had a blast. Hopefully you had a lot of fun. This will be on the live tab of the channel if you want to go back and rewatch. Streams from now on will always be on the live tab. At some point, I'm going to take all the old streams and make a public playlist for anyone who wants to go back and watch one of those streams, listen to them while they work out, fold laundry, whatever. But on that note, thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.